Good morning. All right. Come on back and have your seats. And this is a time that I'm going to invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phones so that we won't have any extra noises coming on. But we are going to stand up and sing. So go ahead and stand. And this is Lisa Ferraro, so here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So great to be with you this morning. It's a song called We Are One in the Spirit. I think I might have played this for you once before. It's easy to catch on. We are one in the Spirit of God.
Turn it up a little, Rick.
We are one in the Spirit of God. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one in the Spirit of God.
That's the whole thing.
Spirit of love. We are one in the Spirit of love. We are one in the Spirit of love. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one in the Spirit of love, in the Spirit of joy. We are one in the Spirit of joy. We are one in the Spirit of joy. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one in the Spirit of joy, in the Spirit of God. We are one in the Spirit of God. We are one in the Spirit of God. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one in the Spirit of God.
Yes. Now you may be seated, and please go ahead and silence your cell phones so we can center and turn within this morning. And as we do this, just let her song carry you deeper and deeper inside. And then our prayer practitioner, Suzanne Dubois, will do the opening prayer for us.
So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share, 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 I will share this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share, 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 I will share this this love, so sacred, so secret, so precious, this love, so sacred, so secret, so precious, this love, this love, 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 love. In this moment of peace, love, and sharing, I welcome the presence of Spirit. There is only one God, and that God is all there is. Everything we see, everything we experience is part of God, and I welcome every piece of Spirit that surrounds me, surrounds us. Every single bird flying in the sky, every single ray of sunshine, every piece of sand in the beaches, every little blade of grass. It is all part of Spirit. And I invite each and every one of us, everyone here, everyone at home, everyone on the planet, to step into the presence of Spirit and just let it fill you up with joy, love. You're so full it's spilling over into the universe, and you can't help but share it. Sharing the peace and the joy and the love and the happiness that as a community we come together every Sunday to welcome whatever new message, whatever new concept or idea that we can embrace that fulfills our longing, that supports us in our life so that we can give it away. I am deeply grateful for all of this joy, every one of us, every person we get to hug, every person we smile at and smiles back. There is no depth or breadth that I can foresee that would expand any more the gratitude I experience for what we have here. And therefore, with deep joy, I place my word into the law of mind and release it, knowing it is already manifest. It is done and done. And so it is. Namaste.
And so it is.
The song inspired by the poetry of Rumi, where he reminds us that the world of lovers is the world that goes on. It's the infinite force field. And of all the things to be grateful for a loving, awakened, illumined heart. If all the world is full of thorns, the lover's heart would be a bed of roses. Even if the sphere of stars stops turning, the world of lovers keeps going on. Everybody gets sad sometime, but the lover's soul keeps a tender smile. Give the lover an unlit candle, and she'll awaken with her own light. If all the world is full of thorns, the lover's heart would be a bed of roses. Even if the sphere of stars stops turning, the world of lovers keeps going on.
I really appreciate Lisa reminding us of that this morning, that no matter what happens, the world of love goes on. This year, we've been talking about living from the heart of wonder. And this month, we've been talking about revealing our abundant life. And one of the things I'm aware of is that one of the things that we're noticing in the world is that there is an abundance of diversity of opinions and values and perspectives. So it isn't just the way we look or our languages or our customs or what we wear or how we see religion, but it also comes into every aspect of our lives that are ruled by values. And so when we come into conflict over values, it's very difficult to see the other person's perspective. Generally speaking, I believe, or it's my experience, bless you, that when our values seem to be ignored, overlooked, or run over by somebody else, we tend to get angry and frightened, or maybe hopeless and sad. And so when we do that, we become smaller. We pull in, we become immobilized, we become combative. I notice how much in political discourse the word fight is used. And as long as we use the word fight, that's what we're going to produce more of. So there's been so much going on recently that has been disruptive to whatever level of sense of peacefulness we have been experiencing since the beginning of COVID, or even longer than that. But I think if we look back into human history, we're going to find that there's always been this conflict of values where one civilization decides they want somebody else's land, and so they overrun them and they impose their values on everybody else. It arises, I think, out of fear. Our values are important to us because we feel like when they're expressed in the world, that the world will be a better place. And when somebody else's values conflict with ours and they want to enforce theirs instead of ours, we feel frightened that the world is going to become a worse place rather than a better place. Does this make sense what I'm saying to you? So when we're talking about abundance, we recognize that we can create an abundance of conflict too. We can create abundance of fear or anger or hatred. But those are all dead ends. They're not useful. So I recognize that there may be in the room this morning not only different values, but also various levels of pain or fear or anger or sadness based on some of the things that have happened in the last weeks and months. And I'm not immune from that, but what I want to call us to is the recognition that when we act from that place, we create more of what it is that we don't want. And so if we want to move forward into creating a legacy that matters for us as individuals and for us as a community, we have to find a way to take our action from a different place. It's like the article I've shared a few times that I read many years ago in Revision magazine by Dina Metzger about a fellow she worked with who was a peace activist. And he was very aggressive in his peace activism. And at one point, she gently confronted the amount of anger and aggression and fear that was coming from him. And she basically said, can you imagine if you feel this way, how difficult it is for an entire government to shift to a more peaceful perspective if just one person who is a peace activist can't come from that place, a peaceful place? How in the world can a larger organization be expected to do that? And it was devastating for him to recognize that was true about him, because he realized that he was actually working against what he was for by his internal attitudes and behaviors and thoughts and feelings. And so he went away for quite a while to do some work on himself, beginning with grief over how much he valued peace and how much his internal living was not peaceful toward those who had a different perspective. And he had to work on himself until he got to a place where he could continually let go and continue working for what he believed in from a peaceful place. Now, that's a huge assignment, and I do think that if we're in science of mind, that we are called to a higher place. We're called to come from a different place, and it is not easy. It is not easy for individuals or communities. So, I recognize how much I can project my judgmentalness onto somebody who's in a position of authority and also has very different values from mine. I can think of them as selfish or smug or arrogant or whatever I want to think of them as, dangerous, as, I'm sure those adjectives are not unfamiliar to you, am I right? Hello? Or are they? Am I wrong about that? Is it just me? I hope not. It's really important that we learn how to breathe through our discomfort and find a place of listening that doesn't always want to argue the other person into submission. Do you know what I mean? And our languaging for each other is not very skillful. A little bit of slight levity here. This fellow who repairs computers said, when I call Spanish-speaking people to have them come in and pick up their computer that I'm repairing, I string together what little Spanish I know. If I've discovered they have a bad hard drive, for example, what I say translates roughly to, your computer's thoughts are finished. And I think about how much effort he put into trying to find a way to say it that would let somebody know that basically there's no hope for this machine. At the same time, when we're communicating with people whose perspective on the world is different or whose values are different, we're much worse than that, I think, in terms of how we communicate with each other. Because when we're coming from a perspective of fight, we're going to trigger in the other person defensiveness and resistance, not listening. And if we find fault with them for not listening, we're actually doing that thing where you accuse somebody else of what you're doing yourself, that kind of projecting. And what I feel is that we want to find a way to value the voices that are so different from ours, to imagine what it could be like. We talk about creating a world that works for everyone. When I think about that, I have certain ways I think that should look. What is a world that works for everyone? But if my values are imposed on everybody, is that a world that works for everyone? No, because it's an imposition of something. Doesn't even matter what it is. So how do I make a world that works for everyone that takes into consideration that we have these differences and works to find a way, a third way, that listens to both sides so that both sides begin to understand why the other side feels the way they do. What fear prompts that perspective? That if we don't, then this will happen. That this view, this path, this person, this way is the only one that will get us to where we want to go, or is the only one that will lead us to hell, and we look at our, particularly religion and politics, all over the world with this very black and white view. It's not unique to us in the United States. We do it everywhere. Now, I recognize that when we have rights in the world, this is my perspective, that we also have responsibilities, that no right comes without a commensurate responsibility. And when we want to have certain rights without responsibility, there's going to be pushback, because whoever's on the opposite side from me is going to push back against what right I'm trying to have without taking responsibility for how that impacts others or the world. Sometimes I feel like somebody else's choice offends me, even when it has nothing to do with me, really. It's not going to impact my life at all. And I think that happens quite a bit. We just disapprove of the other values, even though they don't actually have an impact on us. So in speaking about creating a legacy that matters, what is a legacy? It's something that we leave behind when we're gone. It's something that lives on after us. And I do a lot of memorials. Well, not a lot, but I have done a lot more over the last few years. So when I do a memorial, I want to sit down with the family and talk to them about the person who's passed. I want to find out about what was quirky about them. What did they love? What made them laugh? What stuff did they do that tickled you or inspired you or taught you or stayed with you? What went on that made you mad or hurt your feelings or irritated you or drove you nuts? Because a lot of those things are that unique makeup of that person that if we're going to remember them with love and respect, which is what a celebration of life is about, we don't want to just pretend that everything we know about them is positive. That there's nothing negative to be said. It was all just sunshine and roses. Meanwhile, there are people sitting in the memorial service who know that wasn't true, but they're not going to say anything today because we don't speak ill of the dead. But what I find is that sometimes we need to share those funny stories about how I stomped into my room and slammed the door and pushed all the furniture I could move up against the door, and I was 9. So the furniture didn't weigh a lot that I could move. So when my mother came in the room anyway, I just was enraged that she came in anyway. But really, in retrospect, looking at it now, it's sort of cute that I thought I could pile my furniture against the door and keep her out. It's the recognition that there are things that we come into in our lives where we learn more as time goes on and we have a different perspective than we did earlier in our lives. And as long as we're still living, the hope is that we will continue to learn and not just crystallize what we know and hang out there because it's secure. Okay, I've got life figured out now. Surprise! Maybe not. So what is a legacy? Well, first of all, it's something that is handed down from the past to the future. So the intention, if we have an intentional legacy, what we want to do is hand down something that's useful, that's productive, that's of value, that will live on after we've left these physical bodies. It's in our will or for our beneficiaries, we're leaving valuables. We're leaving tangible valuables. We're leaving money. We're leaving items and so on. And we're also, as human beings, always leaving some value to future generations. positively or negatively. So if people remember us and everything that they remember hurts, that's not a great legacy. If we are gone and when people think of us, they smile or they laugh or they cry a little or they miss us, we have maybe left something of ourselves as an inheritance for them. I often think that at a funeral or a celebration of life, that what the person who has gone on has left us is the stuff that we admired or grew from. And I often tell people, that's your real inheritance right there. You're not the same person you would have been before you met that person. And so now you've been transformed by knowing this person. Something's been given to you. There will be a time in your life when you will need to give that to somebody else, where you'll recognize that somebody needs a behavior, an attitude, a piece of information or advice that was given to you from someone else. And when that time comes, you'll know that it was so-and-so who tapped you on the shoulder and said, remember this? Share that. Something we wouldn't have to give in that moment that was needed if we hadn't had this inheritance from this person. Are you with me here? So when we look at giving forth as individuals or as a community, what we would like to do is actually be a legacy that leaves the world a little better than when we came into it, either as a community or individually. It doesn't mean that we'll leave a perfect legacy. There will be people who left this community because they were hurt or upset about something that happened here, or something that was said from the platform, or some interaction with the minister or a practitioner that was less than ideal. We all have our unskilled times, right? And we hope that as a community and as individuals, that when we go, there will have been things that we left to pass on that uplift or empower or amuse somebody else who comes after us. Chuck Palahniuk, who is an author, said, we all die. The goal isn't to live forever, but to leave behind something that will. Stephen Covey said, the need to leave a legacy is our spiritual need to have a sense of meaning, purpose, personal congruence, and contribution. And Ndukwe Kalu, who's a political scientist, said, the things you do for yourself are gone when you're gone, but the things you do for others remain as your legacy. So why leave one? Why leave a legacy? You know, one of the things that occurred to me when I started to ask myself that question as I was preparing this talk, I got this image in my mind. Amanda and I go on walks regularly through the neighborhood, and there are a number of neighbors that have flowering or fruit trees that produce oranges or, you know, some kind of citrus fruit where the flowers have this incredible fragrance, so that when you walk past them, there's this wafting of this beautiful orange blossom fragrance. But in order for oranges to appear, those flowers have to die. Every one of those flowers represents a potential piece of fruit, an orange. So the falling, dying flower's legacy is the orange that comes after it. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we thought of ourselves in that way, like what fruits can I leave to the world to nourish those who come to this tree of life after me? You know, first of all, a legacy really is unavoidable. Somebody is going to remember you. Somebody's going to remember a conversation they had, doing business with you, what you said to them when they were a child, something you taught in class, something you wrote, a chance conversation in an elevator. They're going to remember you, and that's your legacy. But to some degree, we also have a certain amount of choice and control over some of that legacy. We leave a legacy because it adds meaning to our own life to know that something that we thought was important has a carry forward. Some organization, some group that was meaningful to us, we have empowered it so that it can continue and be available to others as they go forward. It also gives back intentionally and gratefully. So we are appreciating what we've received, and because we appreciate it, we want to share it, and so we pass it on. We pay it forward with gratitude for what we've received, for what we have. And in that process, we create something that is new and of value to other folks, to other people. You know, I think about what it looks like when something is being created, when a legacy is being created. And sometimes we don't even realize that a legacy is being created, but sometimes we discover it. For example, when you hear one of your kids, particularly when they're like teenagers or young adults, repeat something to someone else that we have said to them, it's kind of amazing. I remember my ex-husband telling me that our son and his 2 adopted daughters and he and his wife were all in the car. They were on their way to a restaurant. Now, Luke's adopted sisters were quite a bit younger than he was. So Luke at the time was probably 15 or so. And his sisters were probably 3 and 4, maybe. And the little one in the car, Jessie, was just talking at the top of her lungs and bouncing all over the place. And Luke said to her, "Indoor voice, Jessie." And then he said, "And when we get to the restaurant, it's even more important to use your indoor voice." So I'm on the phone with my former husband, and he's telling me this story, and we both just start laughing. He said, "Who knew he ever heard anything we said?" And I said, "And this is a kid who only found out last year that he has an indoor voice." So the example that I'm giving is that we're leaving a legacy all the time, and stuff that we say or do gets passed on and is heard even when we don't realize it, even when we don't know it's being heard or passed on. I think of this little girl in the picture who's standing on her daddy's feet learning how to dance. Now, every time she dances in this kind of a dance in her life, she's going to remember this. Standing on her daddy's feet, learning how to dance. That's part of his legacy to her. And at the same time, we can think about how we are right now investing in the future. How are we using the substance we have? Energy, time, money, kindness, patience, gentleness. How are we using the assets that have been given to us to pay something forward, to be engaged in our legacy right now, to leave a meaningful legacy? Warren Buffett, who's a self-made millionaire and the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." How many trees get planted that the person planting them is never going to experience that? Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton, said, "What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you'll never get to see." And Steve Saint, who's a pilot and an author, said, "Your story is the greatest legacy that you will leave to your friends. It's the longest lasting legacy you will leave to your heirs." So, what are some of the ways that we go about leaving a meaningful legacy? I came across a list recently here that was so interesting. It said, write down family recipes to pass on to your family members. Write down stories, not only about your own life, but definitely about your own life. Write things about your own life, or video a story about your own life. Write down stories about your relatives, stories that have been told to you. Write them down, videotape them, audio record them, pass them on. Start a family tree if you don't have one. Do DNA testing so that you can pass on to your family where some of the family background comes from if you don't already know. Most people cannot name their great-grandparents. Think about that. It wasn't that long ago that those people were just as alive as we are doing their lives, and yet their relatively recent descendants don't know their names. In some cultures, it still exists in the world today, that when you introduce yourself, you say who your grandparents were and who your parents were, and then who you are. And their names and what they did, maybe even great-grandparents. You are the descendant of those people who came together in their various ways and times so that you would come forward and be here in the world today. It's something that is handed down from the past to the future, and it's believed that building a legacy helps establish stronger communities. Stronger communities. Now we have an opportunity that you're going to hear more about, not today, to leave a legacy that empowers Golden Gate to continue to exist in the future. You know, many of us are at an age where we're formulating how we're going to set up our estates, and we can include things that matter to us. Some of you have left Golden Gate in your estates, and some of you we know about, and we're really grateful for that. And we've discovered recently that Home Office has a certain number of churches each year that they will take in. The Signs of Mind Foundation will make matching funds available and create an endowment for that center. And the center gets the interest from it forever, from the money that is donated from the congregation and also the matching funds that come in from the Signs of Mind Foundation. They can't just do that willy-nilly, so they have to have certain parameters around it, but it's an opportunity for something that's worth considering. I want to share a story with you as my conclusion this morning that is about leaving a legacy in a way that was unexpected. This fellow wrote, "When I was quite young, my father had one of the first telephones in our neighborhood. I remember well the polished, old-fashioned case fastened to the wall. The shiny receiver hung on the side of the box, and I was too little to reach the telephone, but I used to listen with fascination when my mother talked on it. And then I discovered that somewhere inside that wonderful device lived an amazing person. Her name was Information Please, and there was nothing she did not know. Information Please could supply anybody's number and the correct time. My first personal experience with this genie in a bottle came one day while my mother was visiting a neighbor. I whacked my finger with a hammer, amusing myself at the tool bench in the basement. The pain was terrible, but there didn't seem to be any point in crying because there was no one home to give me any sympathy. I walked around the house, sucking my throbbing finger, finally arriving at the stairway. The telephone. Quickly, I ran for the footstool in the parlor and dragged it to the landing. Climbing up, I unhooked the receiver and held it to my ear. Information, please, I said to the mouthpiece just above my head. A click or two, and a small voice spoke into my ear. Information. I hurt my finger, I wailed into the phone. The tears came readily enough now that I had an audience. Isn't your mother home? Came the question. Nobody's home but me, I blubbered. Are you bleeding? No. I hit my finger with the hammer and it hurts. Can you open your icebox? I said that I could. Then chip off a little piece of ice and hold it to your finger, said the voice. After that, I called information please for everything. I asked her for help with my geography, and she told me where Philadelphia was. She helped me with my math. She told me the pet chipmunk that I had caught in the park just the day before would eat fruit and nuts. Then there was a time Petey, our pet canary, died. I called information please and told her the whole sad story. She listened and then said the usual things grown-ups say to soothe a child, but I was unconsoled. I asked her, why is it that birds should sing so beautifully and bring joy to all families only to end up as a heap of feathers at the bottom of a cage? She must have sensed my deep concern, for she said quietly, Paul, always remember that there are other worlds to sing in. Somehow I felt better. Another day I was on the telephone. Information, please. Information, said the now familiar voice. How do you spell fix? I asked. All this took place in a small town in the Pacific Northwest. When I was 9 years old, we moved across the country to Boston. I missed my friend very much. Information, please, belonged in that old wooden box back home, and I somehow never thought of trying the tall, shiny new phone that sat on the table in the hall. As I grew into my teens, the memories of those childhood conversations never really left me. Often in moments of doubt and perplexity, I would recall the serene sense of security I had then. I appreciated now how patient and understanding and kind she was to have spent her time on little boy. A few years later, on my way west to college, my plane put down in Seattle. I had about a half an hour or so between planes. I spent about 15 minutes on the phone with my sister, who lived there now, and then, without thinking what I was doing, I dialed my hometown operator and said, information, please. Miraculously, I heard the small, clear voice I knew so well. Information. I hadn't planned this, but I heard myself saying, could you please tell me how to spell fix? There was a long pause. Then came the soft-spoken answer. I guess your finger must have healed by now. I laughed. So it really is you, I said. I wonder if you have any idea how much you meant to me during that time. I wonder, she said, if you know how much your calls meant to me. I never had any children, and I used to look forward to your calls. I told her how often I had thought of her over the years, and I asked if I could call her again when I came back to visit my sister. Please do, she said. Just ask for Sally. 3 months later, I was back in Seattle. A different voice answered information. I asked for Sally. Are you a friend? She asked. Yes, a very old friend, I answered. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, she said. Sally had been working part-time the last few years because she was sick. She died 5 weeks ago. Before I could hang up, she said, wait a minute. Did you say your name was Paul? Yes. Well, Sally left a message for you. She wrote it down in case you called. Let me read it to you. The note said, tell him I still say there are other worlds to sing in. He'll know what I mean. I thanked her and hung up. I knew just what Sally meant. You see, I don't know that Sally realized that she was leaving a legacy in those conversations. And so often, that's how it is. So we have two kinds of legacies that we leave. Ones that we choose and we're aware of, and ones that happen as we're doing life and being who we are. In the midst of all of this fear and conflict and pain and upset going on today in our country and around the world, I want to invite us to meet it with something more trusting of God. It means that we take action toward what we believe in from a trusting place in the infinite take this action that I'm giving and do what needs to be done to this to bring the best forward for everyone. I think I know what that is, but I could be wrong. Please take this and do the highest and best with it that you can. And for me to know that whatever it may sound like, or however I may judge it, that wanting the highest and best is ultimately the motivation underneath everybody else, wanting the highest and best for whomever they think ought to have the highest and best. We think it should be everybody. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, gave this advice to parents in the extension study course for parents to know regarding their children. He said, in working for your child, he means in doing spiritual mind treatment and praying and affirming for your child, realize that he is a perfect idea in infinite mind. That means, by the way, parenthetically I'm saying, no matter who he is, or who she is, or who they are. That there are no hard places, no difficult situations in mind, capital M. That behind everything there is only the one. And that the child exists at the standpoint of opportunity for self-expression. Take the time each day to know for him that everything right here and now is made known to him without effort or struggle, and he is free. Know that your word is law, and that this word deals with the perfect law and represents a perfect idea of truth, and that the intelligence within him directs and guides him, and the perfect law governs him at all times. Let us know in a larger way that this is true in us as we listen to and honor women and children and individuals whose perspectives and values are different than ours. That every one is cherished by God without exception. Everyone is set free in this life to discover their self-expression at whatever level of understanding they have. And in this prayer, we wish to lift all of us up into a greater realization of truth with a capital T. So please join me as we go within now. In all of life, in all of the universe, in all of the world, in all of this room, there is only one. Not one in each of those places, but the one. This one manifests itself as people, as freedom, as activity, as expression, in forms, in thoughts, in actions, in words, in feelings. And within the heart of this one, there is no separation. There is no separation between us and anything or anyone. No matter what it feels like or looks like at the moment, at the root of us, at the heart of us, there is only one. This is the truth that has never changed. I call forth then, in my own consciousness, and for all of us who choose to do so, an invitation to the greater truth that is to come and live in my heart, to reveal itself in my feelings, in my thoughts, in my words, in my attitudes, in my values, to up-level me, to raise my vibration, to increase my ability to see deeper and further and more completely and more fairly. I know that this is possible because I know that in the infinite mind and presence of the divine, nothing is difficult. I know that in some way, on some level, by thinking this thought and verbalizing this prayer, it is already occurring in tiny instances everywhere. And I let the largest part of that, I invite the largest part of that to be right here within me, right now. I breathe into it. I let myself relax. I let myself put the fear down and turn toward the love that is infinitely powerful and outlasts every negative condition and transforms my understanding of negative conditions, because this one outlasts all conditions. I give thanks for these thoughts, for this awareness, for this word, for the creative law that acts upon this prayer. I give thanks for the power that lives in the declaration, and for the consciousness and its willingness to rise to the truth and rest there. So I let this word go into that creative law of mind and spirit, which acts upon it and brings it forward into form and being and experience. I let it go and I allow it to be so. And so it is. Take a breath. And I want to invite you to stand and join me in the affirmation for today. Together, I choose to leave blessings for others now, so that when I go into my next expression, I leave the world a little better. I'm enthused about leaving a path of blessing for those who come after me. And so it is. You may be seated. So one of the things that I choose to do in the world is to tithe. That means that what comes to me, I give 10% of back into the world. And so I give 10% of my salary, my income that comes from the center, actually back to the center. And I do that because this community and the work that we do together and the interactions that we have nourish me spiritually and stimulate me to grow. And so I want to give back to Golden Gate because it allows that in me. I encourage you, however you give your gifts, whether you tithe or you make offerings in a different way, to look to what lifts you up and give a portion that you determine of your good to those people, those places, those things that inspire you and lift you up and help you to grow and become more truly anchored in the truth. So I want to invite the ushers to come forward to prepare to receive the offering. If you choose to text to donate this morning, you can do that with the number on the screen. And please join me as we give our offering blessing to all these gifts being given this morning and all those we have recently received and all the ones that we are in this room as we give them. You know, these ushers who are receiving the offering, this is a part of their gift, their service. And we want to honor and bless you for doing that this morning. So let's say our giving offering blessing together. You can hold your gift near your hearts, or if you're giving it with your loved one, hold it in your hands together. As we say, this gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Please go ahead.
Thankful. Thankful for the air to breathe. Thankful for my breath. For the light of the silvery moon, the door of my soul to you. I'm grateful for the spark of infinite light, and everything we do. Yes, I'm grateful for this truth, and I am thankful for you. Yes, I'm thankful for all the things you do. You're the sun inside my heart, and every day is new. And I am thankful, thankful for you. Thankful for the flowers wild, they grow just where they please. Thankful for the fireflies, luminescent beams. Thankful for the friends I have, love has nothing to prove. Yes, I'm grateful for this truth, and I am thankful for you. Yes, I'm thankful all the things you do. You're the sun inside my heart, and every day is new. Yes, I'm thankful, thankful for you. And if I feel afraid, don't know what to do, everything will be okay if I tune into you. And I am thankful for you. Yes, I'm thankful all the things you do. You're the sun inside my heart, and every day is new. And I am thankful, thankful for you. Yes, I am thankful, thankful for you. Look at someone and let them know. Yes, I am thankful, thankful for you.
Yes, we're thankful for Lisa Ferraro this morning, and we're thankful for each other, all of us, right here. So we do, with great gratitude, all of us together, receive this offering for Golden Gate with gratitude, and we send it out into the world now to create a world living in love, whatever that needs to look like. And so it is. Thanks, Brandon. All right, now today is picnic day. I see that you're in your picnic clothes. I'm very glad about that. Picnic is going to be out there. So if you have food in your car, you may want to move your car over to the other parking lot over there and come in there, because that's the closest to the picnic area. I'll get there in just a minute. But if you're here for the first time this morning, please take a moment to get a welcome packet at the back table. It says welcome right on it, and inside, Galen's holding it up back there so you can see. Inside there's a blue card that says welcome. Just fill it out and turn it in back there, and we'll give you a little book that's our thank you gift to you for being here this morning, and we hope that you'll come back and be with us often in the future. We'd love to have you be part of our spiritual family. Since we're doing acknowledgments of legacy, let's particularly acknowledge everybody who participated in making this morning so wonderful for us. And also, I especially want to point out the altar this morning. This angel on the altar was made by Jet. She put the altar together this morning. And the angel has bird feet. And the angel also has an olive branch. This is Noah's angel, who flew out as a dove to go and bring back the olive branch. And she's a little whimsical. So come up and take a look at her. This is very beautiful. So let's acknowledge all of our morning team this morning. Thank you, everybody, for what you've done. So today is the day of the picnic out in the park, right out there, immediately after the Sunday celebration. So grab your stuff, hike on out there. Somebody's already over there to, hold the places. So it's probably Lori, right? Go look for Lori. She's over there. If you don't know Lori, go with somebody who does. All right? Okay, no snacks today because we're going straight to the picnic. All right. Membership class is coming up. You can take this even if you already are a member, if you'd like to get retuned in to Golden Gate or just connect with some of the new people. If you're new in this community, then we encourage you to take the membership class, even if you've transferred from somewhere else, because it helps you to get to know how we do stuff right here in Golden Gate. And the class is coming up in July. The dates have shifted just slightly. I'm actually going to be at a family reunion on the 17th. So in July, the new member class dates will be the 10th, 24th, and 31st. So we're going to skip the 17th. But we have a surprise for you live here on the 17th that you'll enjoy. August 5th will be the new member reception, and August 7th will be new member Sunday right here. You can sign up, I believe, at this table in the back if you're interested in participating in the class. And if you want to learn more about the science of mind, take the Quick Start workshop from our prayer practitioner, Marilyn Letzos. And that'll give you an opportunity to learn more about the roots of the philosophy and why and how we do what we do. And that's going to be on Sunday, August 14th, from 12:30 to 2:30 on Zoom. So if you email our administrator at ggcsl.org, she will get you connected there, so you'll get the Zoom and you'll get the handouts. All right, and our climate action tip of the week is using gray water to water your lawn. Water that comes from the laundry and is used for your garden. Right now, I want to make sure I can see, I want to see that well. So an average family of 4, over the course of 1 year, uses 5,000 to 8,000 gallons of water just in the washing machine. 5,000 to 8,000 gallons of water that goes into wastewater treatment. And if just 100 families in the area started to use this kind of laundry to landscape gray water gardening, we could save up to 800,000 gallons a year of water that would go into the gardens instead of into wastewater facilities. So if you go to this website, scroll down toward the bottom of that page, you'll find all the information on how to do that. And it's worth taking a look at for sure. I want to remind you that not only do we have a prayer box over here where you can request prayer and practitioners who are available to pray with you after the service, you can also request prayer on our website. You can go under resources, under the resource tab on the website, and you can fill out a prayer request right there that will go to the prayer tree. So please know that even if you're at home and you feel like you want to request a prayer, you can always do that just by going online. So now, please stand and join me. Oh, wait, I didn't pray. Hang on. Yes, practitioners, would you surround the room? And we just bring our hearts and minds into alignment and consciousness together right now. Take a breath. Think about whatever's been bugging you this week, and then take another breath and relax those places in your body that just tightened up when you thought of it. And let this prayer go into those places that have just relaxed. In the presence of the One, how good it is to remember that I and everyone here is made from the heart of that presence, that infinite intelligence, that divine love. Therefore, the intelligence and love of Spirit are right here within me, even in the places where I feel uncomfortable or defensive. And I welcome that presence and invite a greater relaxation and love to fill those places and replace any discomfort and fear with trust in God and patience and peace. I'm grateful to know that this is taking place in me right now. And I'm so grateful for that truth. I let this prayer go for all of us now and simply let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand and join me and the practitioners now for the benediction and the closing song. As we say this together, I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For Spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. This is another song that's easy to follow along with, and you'll see the words
Taking it
right
out
there.
into the world, and we are the light.
We are the light.
We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light.
You got
We
it.
are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. I trust
In you, I trust in me to shine. Oh, come on back, Lisa. I touched something.
taking it out into the world, and we are the light.
Okay. Apparently, we needed to get it in there a little bit more. Really shine it out there now.
We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. I trust in me. I trust in you to shine. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light.
We are the light.
We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. I trust in thee. I trust in you to shine. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light of the world. And what do lights do? Shine.